Hello and welcome back to the Track World Touring Car Championship. My name's Tom and we are back at Mugello for round number 3, this time from the AM drivers. This 3.2 mile circuit is going to play host to another 3 action-packed races with 29 miles of racing and average speeds around 95 to 96 miles an hour. These races are going to be ridiculously quick. Compared to the Pro Class, the AM Championship is a lot more wide open. Track Active holds the lead on 268 with 7 points in hand over Track Stug in second. Kraus is just 5 points further back, with Woody a further point behind. Track Saban and WA10 Tom are joint 5th on 252, with a little bit of an advantage over Track Vicious in 7th. Track Joey in the second RS3 completes the top 8. Now before we go racing, we need to check out where everyone's going to be starting, so let's take a look at the results from the hot lap qualifying. It was ORB Danzilla who came out on top in qualifying to snag pole position ahead of TKL Point Blank in the Honda. WA10 Tom and Nightmare are going to be looking to rekindle their battle in the final race at Hockenheim from row number 2, with championship leader Actim starting on row 3 with Griffiths Maximus for company. Row 4 sees Track Stug and Mad Dingo in the Mercedes. He'll be looking to go a little bit better than he did at Hockenheim with Track Woody and Track Kraus on row number 5. Rounding out this 11 car field for race number 1 is Track Sabine in the RS3. So down to the grid for race number 1. Danzilla is on the pole position. TKL Point Blank there in second. Lights come on. Bit of a long hold there for the guys. Lights go out. Away we go. Good start there from the Mercedes. Bad start from the Honda. The Honda's starting to fall down the order. He's got an Audi S3 of Nightmare in behind him, but he's already lost the position to the Carspun Chevrolet of Tom into second place. Tom's going to go challenging for the lead, potentially around the outside of turn number 1. Griffiths is on the inside there. Contact there with Point Blank. Point Blank has gone sideways, been spat out into the lead of this race. So Danzilla loses the position to first, but not from the Chevrolet, it's from the Honda as he gains the position there into first position. Point Blank lead. Danzilla second. Nightmare just squeezes through into third position ahead of the Carspun Chevrolet. So got the Carspun Chevrolet back into its 4th position starting point as he heading towards the second chicane. Point Blank, look at the lead he's got already. Danzilla though is under threat from Nightmare in 3rd position. Nightmare filling the rearview mirror of Danzilla, looking back at him now from Danzilla's car in towards the bottom section of the circuit. Danzilla under pressure now from Nightmare, trying to hold on, but Point Blank it is that leads. From Danzilla in second, Nightmare in 3rd, Tom's 4th, Griffiths 5th, Dingo 6th. Further behind is Danzilla, challenges for the lead on the inside of Point Blank. On board with Nightmare now, he's looking to pick up the pieces here. If this does go pear-shaped, Danzilla runs a little bit wide, he's not too happy in that corner. Nightmare goes into second place, so Nightmare up the order already. He's on the inside of Danzilla. Is Danzilla still there? Wait for the camera to pan back out. No, he's not. Danzilla down into 3rd place, potentially about to lose 3rd to Tom in the Chevrolet, with Griffiths not too far behind. Griffiths clips the gravel load behind. Looks like Dingo might get up into 4th place there. 5th place is Tom around the outside now of Danzilla, trying to get the position on him. Danzilla just hangs on for 3rd place, but it is Point Blank that leads. Nightmare in second. These two have only been in the championship for 2 weeks. They missed round number 1, but they're 1 and 2 in this race as it stands. On board with the Carspun Chevrolet, looking at the back of Danzilla's Mercedes. He's going to have pressure from behind as well from Dingo. Dingo's getting right under the rear wing of that Chevrolet, heading down to the main straight now towards turn number 1. Dingo slots back into the slipstream, on board with the Mercedes driver now. The Mercedes has the legs compared to the Chevrolet, heading down the main straight under the start-finish bridge and in towards turn number 1. The Chevrolet moves out to block, but doesn't quite get far enough over. Dingo's around the outside. He's got the position done already, heading in towards turn number 1. Hard on the brakes. Chevrolet comes back at him. Just about hangs on with the pair of side by side, heading through turn number 1 towards turn number 2. Contact, you see the sparks starting to fly, heading in towards turn number 2 now, and the Chevrolet just about has the position, but he runs really wide. That might allow Dingo to get the cut back. So Danzilla versus Nightmare, the fight's over 2nd place now, heading towards turn number 1. Danzilla desperate to try and get that position back compared to Nightmare, heading in towards turn 1 on the inside. Danzilla, Nightmare runs wide, tries to go for the cutback to defend the position, doesn't quite get the power down early enough and can't get on terms with the Mercedes. So Danzilla now up into 2nd position, but look at the gap that Point Blank has already. Dingo now through for 4th as well, so expect to see that Mercedes challenging Nightmare with the pace advantage that he has already. But look at the gap that Danzilla's already pulling on Nightmare in 3rd place, so Audi's either got a problem or the Mercedes is ridiculously fast. So potentially you could see Danzilla get right on terms now with Point Blank, who's at the front of this field. heading down towards the bottom end of the circuit. Nightmare hasn't dropped off the back of Danzella like we thought he might. Heading through the bottom end of the circuit now. Danzella runs a touch wide there. That Mercedes looks like it's set up a little bit more for oversteer compared to a few of the other cars. We're on board with Nightmare now. Danzella oversteers off wide. He clips the gravel there. That's going to allow Nightmare to close right up. He's already halved that gap heading in towards the chicane now. So Nightmare in the Audi, potentially. The move for second place isn't quite over now. Danzella runs wide. He gets a massive slide on. That's going to allow Nightmare to come back at him. Getting closer and closer all the time. It's going to be a challenge in towards that bottom hairpin. The Audi moves towards the outside. Danzella runs the defensive line. Will he be able to hold on? The Audi sweeps around the outside of the Mercedes and gains second position back. So good start there from Nightmare. He's back in towards second place, but Danzella's challenging him once again, heading through the flat chicane. There's no real overtaking point here. Nightmare using all of the road and a little bit more to try and stay in front of the Mercedes. The Mercedes has a run, heading down into the final corner. Will he throw it to the inside? Yes, he does. They're 3 wide. Dingo's in there as well. Dingo's got the position on Nightmare. Will he take the position on Danzella heading down the straight? He's already done it. We're looking on board now. We're going to go on board with Nightmare right into the back of the Mercedes. He's got a double slipstream. Are we going to go 3 wide in towards turn number 1? That'll be insane if they try it, but Dingo, he's gone from 2 positions back. He's gained 1 position. He's about to throw it around the outside of Danzella in towards turn number 1. The white Mercedes versus Danzella in the black and silver Mercedes in towards turn 1. Dingo loses out to Nightmare. A little bit of contact there. Nightmare just about has a little bit of a bump and run on the Mercedes behind, and he tries to get on terms with Danzella but doesn't quite have the pace to do it. He's thrown it down the inside on the exit of the chicane. As we go on board with Dingo, he's got the box seat of this battle, heading down the back straight towards that second chicane. Look at the gap they've got already, but Danzella just about sweeps across the front of Nightmare in the Audi, runs a little bit wider, just hangs on. A little bit further on though, Nightmare contact with Dingo. Nightmare's been spat off. So the Audi's, after running really well, has been spat off towards the exit. 1 lap later, Nightmare's on a recovery drive. His first target is going to be WA10 Tom in the Carspunk Chevrolet, riding on board with the Audi, heading through the bottom end of the circuit. This is one of the fastest parts of the circuit. You can see how quickly gaps do close up. Nightmare gets a little bit of a better line through there by the looks of it. Just closes up a tiny bit on the Chevrolet. Under brakes, those where the Audi's strong compared to that Chevrolet. Right under the rear wing now as they head down towards the bottom hairpin. It's a downhill braking now. Nightmare using all of the road to try and stay on terms with Tom in the Carspunk Chevrolet. There's Danzella firing through shot. So this the fight over 4th position heading into the final hairpin. Nightmare just taking a little bit of a tighter line through there. Just looks like he's got the cut back on the Chevrolet, heading through the flat chicane. This isn't really a place you want to be going too wide, but he's locked into the back of that Chevrolet. He's under the rear wing, looking at WA10 Tom in that Carspunk car, heading into the final corner. Nightmare potentially going to throw a dive down the inside here, not quite close enough, but he just locks under the rear wing. He's going to go for the run on the exit, on the hairpin, doesn't quite have the power. So this is on board with Danzella now as he tries to chase down point blank in front of him in second place. He's got a little bit of a slide on. He's done it himself. He's off in the gravel. Danzella's off in the gravel. That's going to allow the fellow Mercedes of Dingo through for second place. So drop on board with Sabine now. He's got Stug in his sights, trying to size up a move on the B-Wiser Chevrolet. Heads down the inside. Stug goes a little bit wide. Will Sabine be able to throw it down the inside here and get the run down the straight? The RS3 with its 400 horsepower is stronger than the Chevrolet down the straight. It's about 30 horsepower difference, but the Chevrolet just looks like it's got the gearing and the aerodynamics set that a little bit better than the RS3. So Sabine has to drop back into the slipstream to try and get on turn with Stugs in the Chevrolet. Heading towards turn number 1, Sabine looks racy. He looks like he's going to try and chuck a dive. The Audi can go later on its brakes, and he just about misses out on the opportunity, but Stug holds a tighter line. Sabine goes for a cutback manoeuvre here. Will he be able to throw it? Not quite close enough. Stug just about hangs on. So back with the fight between Griffiths, Nightmare and Tom. Griffiths just hanging on there for 3rd position. You can see how far ahead that Danzella is. So Danzella, this is the fight for 4th position, sorry. Danzella in 3rd, Griffiths heading through. Nightmare is the next target. He's already dispatched the Carspunk Chevrolet at this point in the circuit. Will he be able to dispatch of the Demon Tweet Chevrolet in front of him? Just about takes a little bit of a wider line there through the chicane. Maybe gets a little power down a little bit earlier. We're looking at the back from Griffiths at Nightmare. Nightmare heading in towards turn number 1. He's coming under pressure from Tom, but Griffiths runs wide. Nightmare chucks it towards the inside. He's going to get the power down a little bit earlier, and that's going to allow him to get the position on Griffiths. That's Nightmare up to P4. The Chevrolet, though, is going to come back at him, just jinks towards the inside a little bit more. You can see the amount of camera that Chevrolet's running as well. The front wheels looked a little bit strange in that shot, but it's enough to get him side by side now with Nightmare heading in towards turn number 1. Will this be a change for position? Nightmare versus Griffiths. Griffiths locks up, brakes as late as he dares, and just gets on terms with the Audi. But the Audi is going to have the inside for this chicane. Will Griffiths be able to chop across the front of him? Just about. Griffiths holds on to the position. Nightmare's challenge comes to nothing. On board with Tom now. Nightmare gets the cut back and goes back down the inside of Griffiths in towards the second chicane. He's going to have the outside line for this one, but if he can hold it around the outside, he can just about get the line on the inside. A little bit of contact there as Griffiths runs sideways, and Nightmare gets the position on the Demon Sweet Chevrolet. But will the Chevrolet now be under pressure from his fellow Chevrolet in towards the bottom end of the circuit? He just about hangs on from the challenge from W810 Tom there. So this man's had quite a boring race at the front of this one. We used to close races around Mugello, but this one definitely isn't. But it's TKL point blank in the Honda. He's going to come down the main straight and cross the line to win round number 7 of the Track World Touring Car Championship here at Mugello. It's his first win of the championship in his second meeting of the season. So TKL point blank takes his first victory in the Track World Touring Car Championship. The second win for a Honda, the second driver to win in a Honda. Take a look at the full results there. Dingo comes home in second place, Danzilla in third, Nightmare fourth, Griffiths fifth, sixth was W810 Tom with Track Actim in seventh, Stug in eighth, ninth was Woody, Krause's 10th, and rounding out this 11-car field was Track Sabine. So, as is usual, this next race is a partial reverse grid, so we asked the random number generator to pick a number between 1 and 10, and it picked number 2. So Dingo and Point Blank swap around at the top of the grid, and the rest of it is as you see it. So expect to see some of those battles reignited, but don't forget the restrictions that come into play now for drivers 1 to 9, so we might see a few different drivers come through the field. So down to the grid, ready for race number 2. There's a couple more cars in this one, but the lights come on. Really long hold this time. And they go, away we go. Good start from the two Mercedes. Really bad start from the Honda there. The Honda really does not like the start phases. Looked like it got that one bogged down a little bit. But it's a Mercedes 1-2, Chevrolet 3-4. Nightmare in the Audi's trying to change that though. Coming through in 5th position. He's going to go down the inside with Actim there as well. So Actim from 9th on the grid. He's doing well to get up the order there as well. But Nightmare goes down, splits the Chevrolets down the middle, tries to go 3 wide. Gets down the inside of Griffiths and moves up into 4th place. Stug just in front of him. But it is Dingo that leads. Danzilla second. It looks like there's cars off in the background as well. But looking at Nightmare, who's got himself into 5th position with Griffiths in front of him, Kraus behind him. He's got past the Chevrolet actually, so my mistake there. He's got Stug in front of him and Griffiths behind him. But it's Dingo that leads. Danzilla second, Stug third, Nightmare fourth. Griffiths is there in 5th place, heading through the bottom end of the circuit. Stug looks like he's challenging for second already, so Stug's not going to hang around on this one. He's going to go for it straight away. Looking at the cars file through the bottom end of the circuit, you got the two Demon Tweaks Chevrolets running together quite nicely, but Danzilla there in 2nd place. Looking back, he's now coming under pressure from Stug. Look how quickly that Chevrolet's closed up. He throws it towards the inside, a little bit of contact, gets a massive slide on. Danzilla just hangs on, doesn't end up in the gravel, but Nightmare's thrown it down the inside. He's got 1 place. Is he going to get a second? He makes contact with Danzilla, but gets through to 2nd place. Nightmare up to 2nd, Danzilla down to 3rd. Stug and Actimir in this as well. You've got Griffiths fighting this battle as well. So it's Dingo that leads, Nightmare 2nd, Stug just there in 3rd, and everyone else is fighting over 4th place. They're 3 wide behind Actim and Griffiths in this fight with Danzilla. But it looks like Griffiths has just got himself through, or has he? Danzilla's side by side. Little bit of a touch there. Danzilla's been spat out towards the gravel, so Danzilla's off. Oh, Woody's got caught up in that as well, so the teammates end up taking each other out there. But Actim has got himself up into 4th position in the melee, and Vicious from last on the grid. He's up into 5th place, challenging Griffiths there as they head down the main straight. Looking back from Actim, we're going to have to take a look at the start of that race, because it looks like there's a few cars firing off left, right and centre. But you've got Griffiths now coming back at Actim with Vicious pushing him along there. Heading down in towards turn number 1. Griffiths on the outside, Actim on the inside, Vicious in the middle. Will he be able to get locked up into that one? Actim just gets in front. Vicious trying to slot in behind his fellow Honda driver to maybe get a position there on Griffiths, but Stug, Nightmare, Dingo, they're all firing off towards the start. So now we get to take another look at the start. You've got Actim sideways, so we're on board with Trout Woody now. So we just see Tom in front of him, a little bit of a touch there. And then Chevrolet just get fired with Sabine. I think that was coming across the front of it. So that looked like a bit of a delayed reaction there from the Chevrolet. So what can happen online racing, the servers of Forza aren't known for being brilliant. Yeah, it looks like a bit of a delayed reaction there for the Chevrolet. And carrying on here, looking at the back, we've got point blank there as well. Oh, it's a bit of a tap there, bit of a twitch, and the Chevrolet's fired off again, so the Chevrolet gets contacted twice there. So this is the fight over second place now. Nightmare trying to hang on from Stug in the Chevrolet. Stug has been on a charge in the early stages, but it's sort of fizzled out a little bit now as he tries to get past the Audi S3, currently running in second place. Looking at the Audi, he's got a little bit of a gap there on Stug, but Stug is really quick through this section of the track. The Audi gets a little bit of a slide on. That might invite Stug to throw it down the inside. This is Stug got active as a car off in the gravel trap there. But this is where Stug got active in towards this chicane, and he thinks about throwing a move, doesn't quite have the power down. This is what happens in that car. So this is, I believe it was Griffiths that was off in the gravel, heading through that bottom corner, and he's just gone straight on. He's understeered straight off. So this is what happened to Danzilla. We're on board with Vicious now, heading through that chicane. Vicious got it a little bit wrong. Danzilla got it even more wrong and ended up off in the gravel trap. So that's how Danzilla fell down the order, and then Woody got collected in that. So this a little bit further back, we've got Track Joey versus Vicious, heading through the bottom end of the circuit. A little bit of a touch there. Vicious runs off on the curb. He's lost it. He's gone all sorts of sideways. He takes Joey with him. Oh no, that's not what you want to see. The slightest of taps there saw Vicious off the road. This is on board with Vicious now, so let's see what happens, see if there was anything else. So he's come through here. Oh no, he's just lost it on the curb. He's lost it himself. A little bit of a twitch, and then it's all over. He's collected Joey and took him with him. So back with the fight for second place. Nightmare still soaking up the pressure from Stug, heading through the bottom end of the circuit. Again, Stug is really quick through this section of the track. Nightmare, though, has a little bit of a tidier line heading through this time. Looking at Nightmare coming down the back section of the circuit. Stug is still not close enough to be able to challenge for it. You can see the gap is starting to come out now. Oh, but as Actim is getting into this one as well. Heading into that bottom chicane. Stug closes right way up under braking. Looks like Nightmare ran a touch wide. So Stug, having been out of that fight so far, looks like he's straight back into it. Stug's using all the curb to try and catch up to Nightmare. Is he going to try and throw a move around the outside? Yes, he is. No, he's not quite close enough. Sorry about that. It's my eyes getting a little bit ahead of me, quite literally there. But Stug now right under the rear wing of Nightmare. You can see how much these guys have closed into Dingo already. So Dingo in that Mercedes, maybe he's backing off a little bit. Maybe he's starting to feel the tyre wear a little bit much. Looking back from Actim, though, he's now got Kraus right under the rear wing of the Honda. As the Honda now potentially trying to throw a move on Stug in the Chevrolet, so the Honda's in a Chevrolet sandwich as they're about to head down the main straight. Nightmare's run a little bit wide. Is that going to bring Stug into this one? Kraus has run a little bit wide as well, but he's got a better run on Actim. He's side by side with the Honda now, heading down the main straight under the start-finish bridge to put another lap in the book. All of this fighting, it might potentially allow Dingo to get away, potentially cement this victory for the Mercedes. But Stug and Nightmare going at it in front. Nightmare comes across the nose of Stug. Actim under pressure from Kraus. Kraus is round the outside. He's got the position done. Will Actim be able to come back at him in towards this second chicane? The Chevrolet's through. He's contacted with Stug. He's tapped Stug. Actim's going to get through on one of them. Will he get through on the second one? Will this end Stug's chance for a podium? Not quite. On board with Kraus now, looking back at Actim. Will he retaliate? No, he won't. These guys are too smart for that one. They're too respectful for that one. But oh no, there's a little bit of contact between the Chevrolet and the Honda, so I spoke too soon. So the fight over third place is back on. Kraus backed off, gave Actim the position back, and Actim now right under the rear wing of Stug, heading down in towards turn number one, who's lost a little bit of ground, you've got to say, to Nightmare in front of him, but Nightmare runs a little bit deep under brakes. Stug closes right back up. This is how quickly things can change in touring car racing, especially when you've got a set of drivers that are as closely matched as these guys are. Stug right under the rear wing of Nightmare, despite only a few corners ago having a few car lengths in his pocket. This is what Nightmare sees behind him. You've got Stug right under the rear wing of that Audi as he head into the chicane. Actim, though, he's trying to get a position on Stug as well, so this battle is a three-way fight. So not only trying to attack, is Stug trying to defend as well, trying to hold off the Honda while also gaining the position on the Audi. Heading down to the bottom end of the circuit, you can tell now they are really closing up to the Mercedes in front of them, so this could soon be a four-way fight for the lead, especially if Dingo carries on running wide like that and clipping the gravel. But Actim now, right under the rear wing of Stug. Stug side by side now with Nightmare heading into the bottom corner. This is where he got Actim a couple of laps ago. Has to back out of it, doesn't quite have the speed. On board with Actim, looking at the back of Stug. Is Stug going to try a dive into this chicane? Actim goes for a dive around the outside, locks way up. That's going to give Stug the breathing room he needs. He now doesn't need to look at his rearview mirror. He just needs to focus on the rear end of that Audi. He just needs to focus on getting that move done. He doesn't need to worry about the Honda trying to get the position on him. So instead of trying to attack and defend, now he just needs to attack that Audi for all that he's worth. Heading through the bottom chicane. Will he be able to close up any more through this corner? Dingo runs wide. Stug now right on the rear of that Audi. He looks towards the outside. No room there. Tries to get the cut back on the inside. Will he be able to get the power down compared to Nightmare in the Audi? Doesn't quite get that done, but looks like he's got a slightly better run heading in towards the first chicane. Again, these guys are still catching up to Dingo in the Mercedes. So while they're fighting, these guys are still catching the car in front of him. Looking back once again from Nightmare, looking at Stug, who's trying to get on terms with the Audi driver, get himself into second place. He already has a podium at this point, but he's trying to go for second place, potentially go for a win. You've got to say that Chevrolet is the quicker of the two cars now. Now we've got the view that Stug has. This is what he's looking at. He's got the rear of that Audi square in his sights, heading back down towards the bottom end of the circuit. Little bit of a slide there from the Audi. The Chevrolet is nice and planted through there, but Actim's coming through here. The Audi's off. The Nightmare's gone off. That's allowed Stug, Actim and Kraus through as well. So Stug now has a clear look at Dingo in the Mercedes in front. This car is clearly quicker than the car that's in front of him, so this fight for the win might not be done. This is on board with Actim now. Actim's right under the rear wing of Stug, so Stug could be under pressure. You can see how quickly that gap to Dingo has closed already. That gap's about as half the length it was the lap before. Heading down into the bottom chicane, they're right together. This is now a three-way, four-way fight for the leaders. Kraus isn't too far behind there as well. Stug looks towards the outside, maybe looks towards the inside of this hairpin. There's only a few corners left to go. Will Stug be able to get this done this lap, or will he have to wait for the next one to try and get it done? Stug runs a little bit wide. Dingo just hangs on for the lead just for now, but now he's got three cars bearing down on him. He did have a big gap in the middle of this race, but now in the closing stages, he's got cars right behind him. Actim though, side by side with Stug. Actim potentially could be the one to go for this victory, but Stug just about has him covered there. Actim around the outside. This is going to be a drag race between the pair of them. Who is it that's going to be able to take a shot at Dingo? It might be Actim, it might be Stug, it might be Kraus at this point. Kraus has got side by side with Actim in front of him. As they head down the main straight across the start-finish line, you can see Stug is just pulling out a little bit. Kraus, though, looking to get the move on Actim, heading towards turn number one, but he's on the wrong side of the track. You really want to be on the inside coming through this sector. You really don't want to be on the outside. That move's not going to work. Hard on the brakes. Actim just gets the move. He looks for a lunge on Stug, but doesn't get it done. Stug just hangs on. It's his turn to try and have a crack at Dingo for the lead. So last lap, there's just 1.5 sectors of this race left to go. Actim, Kraus, Stug and Dingo all fighting it out over the lead. Dingo has the pole seat advantage at the moment, but he's got Stug bearing down on him. Actim's even closer, and Kraus is trying to go for a lunge on Actim to take away third position. Doesn't quite get the move done. Stug, though, right into the rear wing of Dingo. This could be the move for the lead coming up. Dingo goes towards the outside. Stug gets the cut back on the inside. Will he be able to get the move done? He's got the move done already, heading into the final couple of corners. So he hasn't led at all this race. Stug now finally gets the move done on Dingo. He's caught up. He's managed to pass his man with just 2 corners left to go. Heading through the bottom chicane. Dingo might be about to lose out on second position now as well. Kraus is going for a run on Actim. Thinks better of it. Doesn't quite get into it, but that looks like you might have Joey coming into this fight as well. But it is Stug who's got the lead. Contact there between Kraus and Joey behind. Actim runs wide. They might lose out as well. It's going to be a drag race to line between them, but it's the first win for a Chevrolet. It's the first win for TRAC Stug. He comes across the line to win round number 8 of the championship as cars get fired off left, right and centre. So the win went the way of TRAC Stug in the Chevrolet. Dingo ended up having to settle for second, having led for the majority of that race. Actim came home third, Kraus fourth, Joey fifth. Nightmare, after running second for quite a lot of the race, finished in 6th. Danzella 7th, Point Blank 8th, having won race 1. And Track Vicious finished P9. Tom rounded out the top 10 with Track Woody and Griffiths ended the race in the gravel trap. So, as is customary, let's make this next one a full reverse grid. So we're going to reverse the guys who actually finished that race, which puts Track Woody and W8 and Tom on the front row. Vicious is going to start third, with Point Blank filling out row 2. So for final time tonight, down on the grid, ready to go racing for race number 3, round 9 of the championship. Lights go out, away we go. Good start there for the Mercedes. The Chevrolet gets a decent start, and for the first time the Hondas get a good start as well. Vicious getting up the order there as well already. Danzilla's though up into 4th place on Point Blank already. but it is Woody who holds the lead, heading in towards turn number 1. Danzilla goes for a dive on Vicious in towards turn 1. Contact there, Stug sideways, Vicious sideways, Nightmare sideways. Looks like they all just about get away with it. No one spat out towards the scenery just yet, but Danzilla up into third place with Tom in second and Woody in third. Oh, this looks like more sideways action in the background. On board with Dingo, who came home second in race number 1. He's off in the gravel. One of the Demon Tweets cars off in the gravel as well, and Vicious was all sorts of sideways. Woody leads, Tom second, Danzilla third. Point Blank's up into fourth place, as Griffiths and Kraus are going at it as well, heading down towards the bottom end of the circuit. Kraus just gets the jump on Vicious though, heading through the bottom end of the circuit. Dingo still in there as well. Looks like another little touch there as well from Dingo, as the Demon Tweet Chevrolet, now the sole Demon Tweet Chevrolet, is just about holding off the Honda for 5th place. Vicious though looks towards the insides, not quite close enough to get the move done though. And that looks like Vicious has just about lost out now, as behind the guys going 2-3 wide. Sabine now trying to get down the inside of his teammate Joey. These guys came to blows at Hockenheim. Will it happen again here? Joey's gone around the outside of Nightmare there as well. Nightmare gets a bit of a slide on. Actim runs deep as well. Vicious, Sabine and Joey are going at it once again, heading in towards the bottom end of the circuit. Sabine this time comes out on top. Joey dives it down the inside. A little bit of a touch there by the looks of it, as Sabine throws it down the inside of Nightmare, heading through the chicane. You don't want to go too wide here. Nightmare backs out of it, lets Sabine go, but Joey now trying to get on terms now with Nightmare. He jinks out towards the outside of the corner, as towards the front of the field. Woody is about to lose the lead to Tom in the Chevrolet as he head through the bottom corner. The Chevrolet doesn't quite have the grip to carry it on, but the side-by-side going down the straight on board with Woody now. The Chevrolet just has the legs on the Mercedes. Now the Mercedes comes back as it hits boost. So coming across the line, it's Woody who still holds the lead. Tom there in second. Danzilla closing up for third place. Heading in towards turn number 1, looks like Woody's just got the top speed advantage there, heading into the corner, but the Chevrolet's late on the brakes. It shows the nose, but isn't close enough to throw a dive down the inside, but these guys already have a bit of a gap on Point Blank. Further behind, Actim and Joey going at it now. Stug and Nightmare as well fighting over it. You've got Joey trying to get past Actim, Stug trying to get past Nightmare. Maybe a little bit of a touch. Both of these Audis have been spat out at that corner, but this time get away with it. Joey firing it down the inside of Actim. Contact with Actim. Joey sideways. Actim's off in the gravel. Nightmare's up at upper position. Stug might just be upper position as well. So Joey down the order. That didn't look like a particularly wise overtaking move there, but Joey trying to go for a move on Stug, trying to get one of those two positions that he's just lost back on the Chevrolet driver, heading into the bottom corner. He's on the outside. Stug swipes across the nose to hold on to that position there, but Joey's not done yet. He pushes his way down the inside, but doesn't quite have the top pace advantage to get in front. But you can see the gap that Sabine already has, having dispatched a Vicious as well. But that's how far his teammates been able to get up the order so far. Joey not having a fantastic run here. He's definitely not gelling with the Mugello circuit. As he heads down into the bottom corner, Stug runs a little bit wide. Joey throws it down the inside, and it looks like that move is going to be a little bit easy for him there. So he tried to fight it in the last sector, but then gets an easy overtake. So Danzilla now fighting over second place, trying to make it Mercedes 1-2. His teammate Woody currently out in front. This will be one of the first times we've seen. Oh, Danzilla's off. Danzilla's in the gravel. He doesn't like this car around this circuit, and Point Blank now up into third place. But Point Blank runs a little bit wide himself, and Danzilla gets back past him. Contact there between the Audi and the Mercedes. Not an Audi, it's a Honda. It's a Honda and the Mercedes. Heading into the chicane now, as the Honda just about holds on. Looks like a bit of a lock-up from the Chevrolet. But Danzilla in the Mercedes back into third place despite that mistake. But look at the gap that he's now got to the guys in second place. That's Tom in second place. Danzilla still trying to defend from Point Blank, who won race number 1. So Sabine now versus Kraus. This is the Tech Pro Audi versus the Demon Tweet Chevrolet. The Chevrolet runs a little bit wide, just keeps it out the gravel. Sabine's using all of the track and a little bit more, including some of the grass, to try and catch up to this Chevrolet. Sabine's not had a decent run here. He's had 2 DNFs in the first 2 races. This is his best position so far. Heading through the bottom end of the circuit, he's starting to close up now on that Chevrolet, the Audi, using its power advantage. 30 horsepower difference these two cars have to close right up onto the rear wing of the Chevrolet. He's going to throw a dive in towards the chicane. Will he get that move? Will he make the move stick? He runs a little bit wide on the exit, but yes, he does. He gets that position on Kraus. So Sabine up 2 more up another position now on the Demon Tweet Chevrolet. He's already dispatched of Vicious. He's now dispatched of Kraus. Kraus, though, trying to come back at him, so Sabine has to run a defensive line. heading through the bottom hairpin with just 2 corners left to go before he can put another lap in the book. He's starting to close up now on the fight at the front of this one. He's starting to gain a bit of time on point blank. Oh, is that Danzilla off again? Is that Danzilla in the gravel again? Looks like it was, because Danzilla now right in the clutches of Sabine. So Sabine now potentially trying to move up into the top 5. So Danzilla currently running P5. He's been off in the gravel a couple of times. He really does not like the rear end of that Mercedes. There might be something fundamentally wrong with the setup of that car, but Danzilla certainly cannot keep the rear end of it out of the gravel. Sabine now right up under the rear wing of that Mercedes. Will he be able to hold it in a straight line? It looks like he's able to keep it there. Doesn't have too many issues with it. Maybe he's backed it off a little bit. Sabine chucks it down the inside of this bottom corner. Is Danzilla about to lose out to another place? No, he's not. He sweeps across the front of the Audi RS3. So when he wants to, that Mercedes has really good grip and it's able to throw it through the corners. Every now and again he's not able to, but Sabine using the power of that Audi to chuck it back down the inside of Danzilla. Will Danzilla be able to hold on to his P5 position? Just about. He just about hangs on to that position there. As you look at point blank in front of him, there's not that much of a gap now, but these two fighting are allowing point blank to streak away. So Sabine now locked right into the rear of that Mercedes. As you can see, the Chevrolet and the Mercedes at the front. Danzilla's teammate is starting to get really close at the front of this one. This is the fight at the front. You've got the Chevrolet now right under the rear wing of the Mercedes, heading in towards the final couple of corners before we get on to the final lap. So there's these couple of corners and there's one more lap left to go to decide the winner of this race. The Chevrolet right under the rear wing of the Mercedes, heading through that chicane. The Chevrolet's really fast through the faster parts of this circuit, and it seems to be a little bit more planted than that Mercedes. The Chevrolet ducks out towards the outside. Is it going to be a move in towards the final corner on the penultimate lap that decides this race? Heading round the outside, the Chevrolet just about keeps the power down. Woody, though, has just got the advantage. The Chevrolet gets the power down. Woody has to take a tighter line. The Chevrolet leads, heading on to the final lap here. One more lap to go to decide the win. We've seen races in the Pro Lobby go down to the final couple of corners. Will this be another one that goes down to the final couple of corners? Woody, under the slipstream of that Chevrolet, goes to the inside for a move in towards turn number 1. This is going to be another change for the lead. Woody gets the lead back in the Mercedes. The Chevrolet has to slot into second place, tries to go for the cut bumper. Woody's got it covered. Woody and the Mercedes definitely has that one covered off. So now there's only a couple real overtaking points left to go on this lap. The Chevrolet, though, using all of the curb, using all of the grass when possible to try and hold up and get past that Mercedes in front to take the lead back off track Woody. This is the first time we've seen Woody with after he's joined Team TRAC, and you can definitely see the tuning advantages it's had for him. He's right up towards the front of this field, and he's potentially about to take victory here at Mugello. He's now got a bit more of a gap over that Chevrolet, but this is where the Chevrolet's strong compared to the Mercedes. We've seen that Danzilla, his teammate, has had a few issues through this section of track. Danzilla there running back in third position. He's managed to dispatch a point blank, and he's managed to keep off the challenge from Sabine. Now this is where the Chevrolet's strong. The Chevrolet's closing right onto the bumper of the Mercedes. Is this going to be a move into the chicane that's going to decide this race? The Chevrolet, Woody goes over to cover. The Chevrolet chucks it there anyway, down the inside. Tom gets the move done and takes the lead on the final lap here at Mugello. But Woody's not going to lie down and let him have it. Woody's going to try come back and defend, but he doesn't quite get the run on him. The Chevrolet now heading into the final couple of corners, has that position, and he's starting to build a small gap over Woody. Woody now has to get a perfect run through this next chicane and potentially chuck a move into the final hairpin if he wants to try and take this victory, but he's not close enough. It looks like this one now is the Chevrolet's to lose. Only a mistake is going to deny the Carspunk Chevrolet its first win in the championship. Heading through the final corner now and towards the final straight. The Chevrolets haven't won a race heading into this round of the championship. They've won the last 2 of the AM category, but this time it's going to be a second driver. It's going to be W810 Tom who comes across the line to win his first race of the championship and win round number 9 of the TRAC World Touring Car Championship. Woody comes home in second place, having led the majority of that race, with his teammate Danzilla rounding out the podium. TKR Point Blank comes home P4 with TRAC Sabine in his only finish tonight, finishing P5. Kraus comes home in 6th, Dingo 7th, Vicious in 8th with Nightmare in 9th. Joey rounds out the top 10 with TRAC Stug, and TRAC Actim rounded out the top 12. So, after all that action, let's see what that's done to the championship, and things couldn't be much closer. The top 4 are separated by just 10 points, with Actim still holding the lead by 3 points over TRAC Stug. Up to third is W810 Tom with a point in hand over TRAC Kraus. 2 points further back is TRAC Woody on 381 to complete the top 5. Then there's a small gap back to ORB Danzilla on 360, who holds a 34 points advantage over TRAC Vicious. Rounding out the top 8 is TRAC Joey on 314. The next time that we're going to see the AM drivers is when we head over to Silverstone on the international circuit for round number 4. If you like what you see and you want to see more, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. See you at Silverstone.